I'm Doug Ballinger. I'm Logan's dad. And if you're listening today, I need you to hear me. Really hear me. People often say, not my kid, or things like, that only happens to families with problems. We live in a good neighborhood. We talk to our kids. I said those things too. And now I'm speaking into a microphone, hoping to reach someone before they're in my shoes, burying their child because of a poison pill and a poison drug supply. You think it won't happen? You think your family is immune? But fentanyl doesn't care how smart your kid is. It doesn't care where you live. It doesn't care how much you love them. In this episode, I am pleading not only from a podcaster, not from an advocate, but as a grieving father who would give anything to go back and change the ending. You know what I hear a lot when I'm talking to other people who have not yet been affected by this crisis, parents, friends, families, strangers even, they say things like, Doug, I am so sorry for what happened to your son. I just couldn't imagine that happening to my kid. Or my daughter's on the honor roll. Or my son plays sports. He's too busy to be messing around with stuff like that. We talk all the time. I would know if something was wrong. Those are all things that I've heard from people. And I get it. I used to say the same things. It's easier to believe that this kind of tragedy happens to other families. Families with bad kids, bad neighborhoods, families that don't pay attention. But let me tell you something. Logan was not a bad kid. He was smart, he was funny, and he was loved. He came from a home that supported him, a family that showed up for him, parents who talked to him, cared deeply, and tried our best. But fentanyl doesn't care about any of that. It doesn't ask about your zip code. It doesn't read your report card. It doesn't check your social media to see how loved you are. This isn't about kids who made bad choices. This is about a poison supply and a culture of silence that allows it to keep happening. Denial sounds like it won't happen to us, but really is, it can, and it is every day. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to wake you up. Because when Logan died, I woke up into a nightmare I never imagined having to live. If I could go back and tell myself anything, it would be this. Don't assume you're safe just because you loved your child. That love has to turn into action, into vigilance, education, and relentless truth telling. Because denial doesn't protect your family, it leaves them vulnerable. Let's talk about what silence really cost us. Silence cost me my son. And it's not just about the silence of not talking about drugs, it's the silence around mental health, emotional pain, trauma, shame, and stigma. All of it. See, Logan didn't start out looking for fentanyl. He was looking for relief. Relief from the noise, relief from the pressure, relief from feeling like he didn't quite fit into a world that expects our kids to be perfect, productive, and resilient all the time. But when a child doesn't know how to ask for help, and when the world doesn't know how to listen, they find other ways to quiet the storm inside. And that's where drugs come in. We didn't grow up talking about mental health. We didn't talk about anxiety, depression, sensory overload, bullying, or trauma. We didn't know that a kid might just want to feel normal, even for a minute. And that's all it takes to reach for a pill that ends it all. And that silence, it's what makes this crisis a wildfire. Because nobody thinks their kid is the one experimenting. Nobody thinks it'll be their teenager trying something at a party. Nobody thinks that one pill handed off in a moment of peer pressure will be the last thing their child ever takes. But I'm telling you, it is happening. And the pills, they're not what they seem. Illicit drug manufacturers and dealers are pressing these counterfeit pills to look exactly like legitimate medication. Xanax, Percocet, Adderall. You'd be shocked how perfect they look. But they're not made in a lab. They're made in garages, kitchens, and cartel-run bunkers. They're not regulated. They're not safe. They are poisoned. And now they're being laced with xylazine, a tranquilizer meant for large animals. It doesn't respond to Narcan either. It causes wounds that won't heal. It can knock someone out for hours, defenseless, vulnerable, alone. Xylazine is known as trank on the street. We're not just fighting addiction. We're fighting a poisoned supply chain that's killing people who never meant to die. Logan didn't want to die. He wasn't suicidal. He didn't leave a note. He wasn't hopeless. He took something he didn't know was poison. And that's what silence cost. That's what stigma cost. That's what the absence of honest, raw conversation cost. And I carry that cost every day for the rest of my life. So here's my call to action. This is the part where I speak directly to you, listening on the other end of this podcast, whether you're a parent, grandparent, teacher, coach, or someone who just cares about a young person in your life. Please don't wait, don't assume, and don't stay quiet. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be a professional counselor. You just need to be present, and you need to be brave enough to have the conversation before the funeral. I've had to do what no parent should ever have to do. Pick out a box for my son's ashes to be in. Not because he wanted to die, but because someone handed him poison and he didn't know it. If your gut says something's off, lean in. If your team seems distant, don't brush it off. If your kid gets defensive when you bring up drugs, talk anyway. Because the truth is, you might be the only voice standing between your child and a casket. I know that sounds harsh, but if I sugarcoat it, you might not hear me. And I didn't start this podcast series to make people comfortable. I started it to save lives. We have to stop treating this crisis like it's just another chapter in the war on drugs. This isn't a morality issue. It's not about punishment. It's about life or death. This is a poison supply chain disguised as prescription pills. This is social media becoming the new street corner to sell drugs on. This is a generation trying to cope with trauma in a world that tells them to get over it. If you're wondering what you can do, start here. Have a talk. Yes, again and again after that. Educate yourself. Learn about fentanyl, xylazine, and carfentanil. Get some Narcan and learn how to use it. If you're in the Central Arkansas area, call me. I will bring you some. Speak out in your school, your church, your workplace, your community. Support those already grieving. Don't let them carry this alone. Because I promise you, there are more of us than you think. More parents like me who have buried a child. More siblings without their best friend. More grandparents holding folded flags instead of tiny hands. And we're tired of yelling into the void. We need your voice too. Don't wait until it's your story on the front page. Be the interruption, be the awareness, and be the warning. Let Logan's voice and mind echo in your heart long enough to take action. So here's something that you can put into practice immediately. It's just a simple, quick language shift that could save a life. Sometimes we want to talk to our kids or to each other, but we freeze up. We worry we're going to say the wrong thing. We don't want to push them away, but silence is more dangerous than an awkward conversation. So here's something simple: change the language. Instead of lectures or accusations, try connection. Let me give you a few examples. Instead of saying, "Don't ever do drugs, they'll ruin your life," try, "If you're ever struggling or tempted to try something, please come talk to me. I love you, and there's nothing you could tell me that would make me stop loving you." Instead of saying, "Only addicts overdose," try, "Overdose can happen the very first time someone takes a pill. A lot of people don't even know what's in it." I don't call that an overdose. I call that a poisoning death. But one pill is all it takes. Instead of telling your child, "You better not end up like those other kids," try, "I know life is overwhelming sometimes. You're not alone. You can talk to me about anything." And comments like that, they're not lectures, they're lifelines. Because if your child knows they can come to you without judgment or punishment, they're more likely to survive the storm when it comes. Let's stop scaring our kids into silence. Let's empower them with the truth and trust. Even one of these conversations could be the reason they come home safely. Hope requires action. If you've made it this far into the episode, thank you so much. Thank you for listening, for feeling, for staying present in a conversation most people would rather avoid. But listening is just the first step. If we want to save lives, if we want to stop this epidemic, we have to do more than feel heartbroken. We have to act. Talk to your kids. Check in on the quiet ones. Watch what's happening in your schools, your neighborhoods, and your communities. Get some Narcan and learn how to use it. Start conversations, not confrontations. Speak up even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable, because silence won't protect the people we love. Awareness will, advocacy will, action will. There are so many resources online for you to learn from, for you to understand addiction better. The one website that I look at all the time is the Partnership to End Addiction. Go check that one out. Tons of resources on there. The Christopher Wolf Crusade, CWC Alliance, they have tons of stuff on their website. There's even an app on there that'll help you learn to calm yourself. Find resources in your local area, support groups that you can be a part of. Those kind of places help parents understand what they need to do to talk to their children. And then talk to your children. I wish I had talked more. Go to logansvoice.com. Logan's voice was stolen, but his story now fuels me. If you're a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, or someone who's already experienced this kind of loss, I want you to know you are not alone. This is our fight, and together we're stronger than fentanyl. We are louder than stigma, and we are more powerful than silence. So let's keep going. Let's be the voice someone hears before it's too late. Until next time, I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad, and I will not be silent.